Okay, and I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:06. Welcome, everyone. One thing I noticed is that it seems to work better for many of our members to meet online by Zoom, unless we're having a social gathering. So I'm just going to throw, before we start the formal agenda, I'm just going to kind of throw it out to this group. What are your thoughts on having, we have a regular scheduled meeting, which is usually the first or the second Wednesday of the month, to have that by Zoom and have our social gathering by in person. So we'd get together once a month in person and once a month on Zoom. What are your thoughts on that? Everybody like that?
For me.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll share that with the rest of the members, and it sounds like that'll work for everybody. I'm in my pajamas, and you probably want to be too, but it's 9:07 here. Okay, let me pull up the agenda. All right, so I've called the meeting to order, and Melissa, you can introduce our visiting Rotarians, but I think pretty much everybody here is a member. Candace, I just want to check, you are approved for membership. Have you had a chance to submit your application yet?
How would I do it tonight? I promise.
Oh, that's fine. I just want to make sure you didn't have any problems with the link I sent you.
No, I got the form. I'll fill it out.
Oh, no pressure, really.
Okay. I will.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Okay, that's great. We're eager to have you join us.
Thank
We
you.
like you. Okay.
Thank you. I like all of you too.
Wonderful. Okay, so Melissa, you're off the hook. We don't have any visiting Rotarians or guests tonight, so.
But I
I'm
take a moment and Candace, and I'm so glad to see you back with us again tonight.
And nice to meet you, Candace. I wasn't at the last meeting, so nice to meet you.
Yeah, I consider you a member, Candace, so. All right, thank you, Melissa, I appreciate that. And Donna's gonna do the land acknowledgement.
I am. We acknowledge and respect that we live and work within the converging ancestral, traditional, and unceded territories of the Kootenai Boundary and Columbia Basin Indigenous peoples, as well as the Métis peoples whose footsteps have also marked these lands.
Thank you, Donna.
Do you want to do the form?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I've got let me pull up the 4-way test so that when I share my screen, it shows up. Sorry, my computer is not cooperating here. Okay, Sean.
Okay, the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it intentional? Second, is it fair to all concerned? And third, will it
Build
goodwill and better friendship?
Fourth, will it be
beneficial to all concerned?
Okay, thanks so much, Sean. Okay, and then Christy's going to share the thought of the day.
Oh, I just quickly found a short and sweet one. Be happy not because everything is good, but because you can see the good side of everything.
Nice.
I'm excited too.
Okay, and I'm going to do the joke of the day. So since the first funny joke I saw was about bankers, and since I'm a former banker, I thought it would be funny to do a couple of banker jokes. So sorry, Chrissy.
Use that.
What do you need to make a small fortune on Wall Street?
Start with the big.
That's it, a big fortune. Very good. And then the other joke is, the bank keeps calling to give me compliments. They say I have an outstanding balance. All right, we won't torture you anymore. All right. So for our meeting tonight, it's a planning meeting, and we have some things that have been on the back burner for quite a while, and I'm hoping we can put them on the front burner and get ready to get these done. What I'm hoping regarding the peace poll is that we can make a decision to either engage some other artists or just order one. And there's a lot of nice artistic designs out there. It would be wonderful to have a local artist do it. And maybe we put out a call, a public call for people to submit their proposals, and we could kind of create some publicity around that. And once we get our peace garden and our peace poll and we set a date for the peace vigil, we could also make that kind of a community event too, and involve maybe some school children or a choral group or some other similar stakeholders for that. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over for discussion, and would like to hear your ideas, starting with the peace garden. And Donna, since we talked about that being in that back area at the community center, is that still, the welcome center, is that still an option that's on the table?
It is, and maybe Melissa, you can call me. We were heading that up, and we met the meeting that you called on Tuesday with me. So if that space is there still to offer. The only thing is, I thought that I heard mentioned that the Ukrainian flag with the flagpole would be erected back there, and that is something I'm not sure that I can do. But the peace pole garden would be okay. But because the land is crown land, we sit on this with a license of occupation from the crown. I don't know what the protocol is putting another country's flag at the back here, because the land ownership is not ours, it's the crown, and the license of occupation is held by the regional district of Kootenay boundary. There are height restrictions within the zoning as well, and I'm sure that they would be, because that's to do with house construction and whatever, but there is probably language in there regarding fences and flagpoles and that kind of thing. So I haven't looked into that.
Okay.
But we would need special permission to that. And I haven't done a lot of flagpole erecting in my past, but I do know that with the land being owned by the crown, held by a license of occupation, we may not be able to put a flag up. But then Melissa had a wonderful idea, and maybe I'll just defer to Melissa to talk about what the wonderful idea she had on Tuesday.
Yes, my concern with having, and can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My concern with having a flag outdoors is that, it'll weather and, fade or get torn. And then there's, maintenance if, needs replacing, or, I don't know what protocols are, if it's supposed to be taken down at night or whatever. Anyways, so my thought is maybe if we were to have the flag indoor, at the Welcome Center, and we could ask permission to put it in the entry of the Welcome Center. I think that after talking with Donna about it, would require our club to write a letter to Donna asking permission, and then she would have to take it up the chain with I guess, is it RDKB, Donna, that you would have to go to for further?
Gateway first, so the letter would go to Gateway from the Rotary Club, and it's
Oh.
not me, it's the reward. They would make that decision, yay or nay it, and then we would look into the permission and protocol from there, kind of thing. Because how the license of occupation works is, I look after everything 3 feet on either side of the driveway coming in, the building interior, and the perimeter of the building as far as a car length or road width. So that we're okay with the perimeter because I'm in charge of that, but then I would seek that permission just because the building is held by the license of occupation by RDKB.
Okay.
But it was us as the I'm not allowed to call myself a property manager, but Gateway is the Community Development Association, so that permission would go through there. I would look into that and research it out and then give you an answer back through Gateway.
So
And it
I
would
guess
come to my directors
that's-
with Melissa, who's one of my board of directors, so.
yeah, you've got one vote here. So
All right, you can
um,
run it up the flagpole, so to speak.
yeah. So I guess we could discuss if we would like it to be inside. That might be nice inside of the welcome center in the foyer there, or even in the meeting room where, we, if there's some technicality where it can't be out in the open, we could put it in the room that we normally meet in. That wouldn't get quite as much visibility, but that would be another option.
Or up on the mezzanine too, at a focal point where you could see it from downstairs too, because it's so beautiful up there as well.
Mhm.
Somewhere.
Yeah, it just seems like I would hope they would approve it just because there are so many privately owned places, and I think some publicly owned places in Grand Forks and in Christina Lake that are displaying the flag as a show of solidarity with Ukrainian people.
Regional districts, government offices in Trail have the Ukrainian flag, a great big Ukrainian flag painted on the side of their building. The issue is because the land is owned by the province, and of course the province is local government, and they would have to look into that or whatever. And I'm sure that, I said to Melissa, having said that to Melissa, I'd hate to go that way, but if we do check and then they have a problem with it afterwards, but I, in my opinion, I think it would be absolutely fine. But we'll go through the protocol process and get it put somewhere.
Okay, that sounds great. So when we talked about the Peace Garden, are there any restrictions on what we do with the Peace Garden?
No, because the little Peace Garden is, so it's called tax exemption area, so the patio, people assume that it's part of the bistro here, and it's not. It's a public patio, same with the foyer, the hallways down, and the mezzanine. It's tax exemption because those we're not charged taxes because it's not commercial space, it's considered a community building, and that outside there is considered community space as well. And so to do a Peace Garden, like Melissa explained to me, and open it up to other people that may want to add to that or whatever, as long as we're opening it up to the community, I don't see a problem with that. And that's something that I can approve because there's no height restrictions with that. It's okay. The only concern that I had, that I said to Melissa, is when you're doing a program like that, whether it's a gifting program for, somebody phones up and they want to gift a bench to a community, or a picnic table or something like that. It'd be that along the same lines of that idea. So I would be making up a form or an agreement so that this group wants to, the whatever club of Christina Lake, when they want to do a peace pole back there, well, what happens if it gets vandalized, and who replaces it, and who repaints it if it gets swear words put on it, or that kind of thing. And so if you've got language in place that says, okay, and if this happens, we, it's so bad, we have no choice but to remove it. It's got a bunch of profanity spray painted on it or something. Then who is responsible for replacing that after this person has spent their time or given a donation for the pole to be developed and put in there, and how a gifting usually works for the community. If it gets vandalized and removed, it just doesn't get replaced, which is heartbreaking. Because a bench, for example, I've got 3 requests for the nature park here, and we're just developing a policy through Parks and Recreation where the bench is, okay, it's a $2,500 donation. We take care of the cement pad, and then they donate the bench and whatever. If it gets vandalized, if it's taken out. But in 10 years' time, if that bench is still there and it's still in place, in 10 years' time, if we get a hold of them again and said, do you want that bench to still stay there? We want another 2,500, which is just because it could last there and your nameplate could be on there forever, right? But that's how they usually work it within government. With the Stone Garden here, it's being looked after by the nonprofit group, the Community Development Association, as a, like I said, I can't call myself that, but as a property manager for the building, so.
Okay.
Okay.
The Community Development Association, is that who looks after it?
Yeah, that's my association, Christina Gateway Community Development Association, or
Okay.
Gateway. And then I run everything by the operations manager at regional district. And as far as the peace pole garden itself, I don't have to run that by them because I know that there's no restrictions or zoning issues with putting peace poles in the little garden. It'd be like putting plants in the garden here, right? It's just the issue of who replaces it if it's vandalized, and that would be up to this group if that garden is gonna now be, you know, kind of almost sponsored by Rotary or whatever that's gonna look like, or Rotary in charge or whatever. But it's the flagpole that may have an issue, because then it gets into flag protocol and that type of thing, so.
Okay. All right. So, what would we need to do to go forward? Would we need to design a landscaping plan and then just sort of schedule some volunteer days to
It's just replace that
plants and
because
stuff?
I showed, I think in the summertime, remember I showed you that area, Doreen? And there's a whole
Yes.
garden bed back there. It's got a, it's not railroad ties, but it's like railroad, it's got a perimeter to it, you know, or curbing to it, I guess you want to say it. It would be so perfect out here, and I got a chance to show it to Melissa out there, and then you would just it dig a hole and stick the pole in there kind of thing, because there's no you know, sprinkler systems or anything as far as as-built go underneath there. And so it's digging a hole. And one of the things that I showed Melissa, and I don't know if she had a chance to tell you about it, is or how often you go through Oliver here. In Oliver, there's quite a neat thing that they've got, and it's right on the corner of the highway at the busiest corner there, which is 7-Eleven and the park and the subway. And it's a homelessness awareness project. And what they did is they've got a big billboard and they talk about homelessness, and then people like businesses and persons and groups or whatever, they have sponsored these posts, and they're all, and it looks so beautiful, and they're all different colors, and each one of them has got, like, I want to say the word birdhouse, but it's a house. And because it's about homelessness, it's a house, and there's the house with Remax on it, and there's a house over here, and it's got a personal name on it, and this one over here is a little camper trailer that, and they're all unique and very unique. And I can bring up a picture of it if you want, actually, right on the screen here, so that you actually see. Am I able to? Can you guys see that on the screen?
Let me fix it so you can share. Okay, you can share.
Hang on, I'm just gonna. What was this? I can't remember what I can go down right away.
While you're looking for that, I'd also like to mention, I went back through my emails, and when we first started talking about this last year, Susie Paquette mentioned a website, which is worldpeace.org/peacepole project. And so I went back to that again here today, and it has lots of different peace poles at any particular location. And some of them are white with black lettering, and some are blue with yellow lettering, and all different colors and all different languages. And it looks kind of neat when you have a bunch of different ones in one location.
Yeah.
And we had talked previously about the challenges of what languages to use. And so my thought was, if we allowed people to, if people wanted to have their own particular language or group sponsored or whatnot, then they could choose the design, you know, of their pole, and it would look kind of nice.
Yeah, and are you thinking that they would buy their own pole, or 'cause they're not cheap?
Yeah, I was looking on that website. They actually sell them on there, and for 4 languages, it's 200, or 8 languages, it's 260. And they come in different sizes of 6, 7, 8 feet tall. And the nice thing about theirs is that it's low maintenance, weatherproof. I don't know if it's vinyl or versus wood or whatnot, but I don't think we really want to be having to repaint it every few years, you know? So
Right, right. I agree. I like those birdhouses, Donna. Those are cool.
That's the whole overlook of the project there. And it looks quite neat. This is right on the corner of the highway busiest intersection in the little town of Oliver. There's the correctional center is there now, of course, and there's a that's a group called Band Aid. That's in Oliver, a nonprofit. There's Remax. There's I don't know who Gentry is. And you know, that one's that's cute.
That's really
you know,
cute.
the campsites there. There's, you know, there's the school and all of those poles are sponsored for the homelessness project and, you know, putting that focus on there too. There's Sheila Mattis, I know her, her and Dave, her husband. And so, you know, it can be, I think it could be quite effective. And Melissa, you had a very good point there because, you know, when we started this, I have a pole sitting here as you know, or now it's sitting in the storage because I had to move it, but I had a 4x4 pole and it's about 10 feet ready to be put into the ground. And I actually took the time to primer it with white paint because of course we were going to get the other artist involved that ended up having some time crunches over that. And so it never got done. And you know, when I went to put the Halloween display stuff away into the storage cube, that pole is, I mean, it's still there with the white primer on it, but it is twisted a little bit. And so Melissa, that's a very good point of maybe it's a case where we abandon that wooden pole and get those, what's that called? You know, you can project with it and, you know, that it's not wood, but it's, you know, it's
PVC or something. Yeah.
Okay, Donna, do you want to stop sharing then so we can see each other again? Thanks.
Something.
Yes, because otherwise that pole is there, it's usable, but being wood, it's lazy, and then it is twisted already, and I primed it right up with white paint.
Yeah.
That's, you know. So.
Now, I don't know if
Donna,
everybody saw the chat, but Jeff wrote that the flag was sent as a thank you and acknowledgement of Rotary Club of Christina Lake's support of Rotary Club of Dubno, Ukraine.
I like these birdhouses, and so Donna, I have a question for you. Are they, so the poles are donated by the various businesses or schools, but is there a donation made to?
I have no idea.
It's like, you must have paid to put them there and then the money goes to.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, yeah,
It's kind of setting the
right.
example for,
I think you're right, I think that's what they.
Yeah, I'm just maybe a group.
I love it.
That collects the money and then they look after the pole, whatever the person wants on it, or maybe the person makes just the top part, I have no idea, but. You know, they just, you know,
Yeah, I'm wondering, you know.
yeah, I just recognize yours because I was
Yeah,
in town
it's-
office for.
It
20
looks
years.
amazing.
It's great idea.
Yeah, and the pictures don't do it justice, of course, when you're driving by and all these colored poles are there, and since that photo, it's full, there's way more than
I was
that.
advertising it.
Yeah.
All of it.
That's right, yeah.
So there says here there's 40, so you think there are more than 40 now?
Oh, okay, so that might be an update too, because it didn't look like 40 on that picture that I.
No. Oh, this is 2021.
Oh, okay, so then, yeah, it more like 40 on that now, yeah.
Our next project.
Yeah. Back here, I don't know how many, Melissa, what did we say the measurements might be back here? What did we say, 12 feet by,
Yeah, 12, 15 feet long by what, maybe 4 or 5 feet deep?
yeah,
I know in the past you've had potted plants back there. And you had mentioned that it's really hot in the summer and that they don't necessarily do well because of the heat or, you know, there's not an automatic sprinkler system, right? So they have to be hand watered. So we were talking about, you know, if we had multiple poles in there and then maybe just have some nice, you know, landscape type gravel spread around with, you know, maybe some low maintenance type ground cover, plants in there. Something where we don't have to maintain it very often would be
And
nice.
on that, like I was saying to Melissa too, is I just got a $10,000 grant to xeriscape I don't know how, if, you guys, in the welcome center, when you come in, there's an island in the middle when you come into the driveway or whatever, and it just looks atrocious. So I just got a $10,000 grant to xeriscape that. So I'm thinking, well, there'll be enough little stones and stuff left over that we can scoop up and maybe put in the back garden there to, for as far as cost wise for Rotary, I'd be able to do that, I would think.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
nice.
Would the xeriscaping include any native plants that would be drought resistant, or is it just going to be gravel and things like that?
Well, I'm working with stewardship with that, and so I got, it's through as a matter of fact, Doreen, good call, it's through the water integrated management plan, is where the grant's coming from, and it's exactly that kind of thing, is what's friendly, what doesn't use water, and that's why we're doing
Okay.
it that, just to spruce up a little bit up front there. But there could be some of the stuff is being like the ground gravel or whatever is, and I'm sure I can scoop out a couple of scoops to, all that granting material to. Steal it from there, get out here. You know what I mean? It's all for the good of
Is it
the
there?
city center.
Or xeriscape? I found out there's a difference when we did our home in
Well,
California.
xeriscape is with rocks and stuff, right?
Xeriscape is just concrete rocks, whatever. Xeriscape would be like, environmentally appropriate plants.
Yeah, it's gonna be both because, right now I've got stewardship on board too, and they're looking at out of native plants that don't require water and stuff, because we don't have, although there's groundworks out there, we don't have water necessarily out there, right? And plus people are more and more parking and encroaching onto that area, the big campers and stuff too, so. But out back here, I mean, to be part of the public patio, it would look pretty darn neat to have, the Rotary Club peace pole front and center, and sort of all these other ones. It'd be a real conversation piece back here.
Attraction.
Yes.
Did when
It really would be.
Stop by and see.
Stop by and see this and, do separate postings with it, and it look really, really effective, I think.
Okay. Do we want to, this is really a separate topic on the agenda, and I did send a corrected agenda a few minutes before the meeting. Jeff reminded me that we were supposed to have, I planned to have the Ukraine fundraising on the agenda, and I just neglected to do it in rushing between my classes today. Is there an opportunity here to launch our Ukraine fundraising with the dedication of the Peace Garden? I mean, the need to do the fundraising is probably a little more urgent than the garden, so I don't know how we can make them align on the time schedule. I'm looking to all of you for ideas on that.
I think that for the garden, we'll have to wait for the snow to melt and the ground to be, not be frozen in order to put a pole in the ground. So I don't know when that normally occurs, April or
May.
out. So we probably don't want to wait that long to start our fundraising. So I think maybe it should be done beforehand.
All right.
Yeah, I think you can do that in a way where you're presenting the pole to the community to be erected when the ground thaws or whatever. You could present that and have photo opportunity with it out here, because if it's already done, and then that's part of it, people can come and view it and see what's going to be placed into the ground. And that could be twofold, where you do a little bit of fundraising there, introducing the pole and what the plan is for that garden kind of thing, and then collect donations then, and then come March or April when the ground is thawed. Now is the sod turning, the sod turning event, and let's collect a little bit more funds again that day.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
There's a possibility this could be a district-wide fundraiser eventually. I'm working with our district to see if we can get all the clubs in the district to support it. But what our target would be to try to raise $5,000 to $10,000, which sounds like a lot, but I know that Roslyn Rotary Club, when they were raising funds for Shelter Box in Ukraine, they spent one Saturday collecting money on the sidewalk with a sign, and they raised $5,000. So that doesn't necessarily mean we would take the same approach. We could do something else, but you know, I think we could raise $5,000 or $10,000 in a couple of weekends, as long as we tell the community what we're doing. The community support is there. A lot of them are probably just waiting for somebody to do something like this, and I think there would be support.
Would we do something just as simple as putting out, you know, posters and, you know, talking it up and social media, and then, just have people, at various places collecting. I mean, that, it could be that simple. And say, today's the day we give for this cause. We could just, you know, that could be our thing, like, today's the day, we can't put it off any longer, we really just, you know, show our support. I don't know, if we wanna do it now and we don't feel like having an event, unless we wanna have an event. That's.
So I know town is a little bit slow right now because, you know, we haven't come into our tourist season, but could we do something in front of Huckleberry Market? I don't know, you know, Friday afternoon. I don't know when would be one of their busier times. Or even when the coffee crowd comes to the Welcome Center, would we be able to set up out in front of the Welcome Center, Donna?
Yeah, and same thing with that, if it's a nonprofit group, I mean, you can do that, it's, and that's just gaining permission by, email request to Gateway as well. And even that, I just do a blanket email, I wouldn't have to go with like the board or anything like that. And, you know, we do that type of fundraising, you know, all the time by, you know, by donation or whatever, so I don't see a problem with that. Sitting out here and probably get more at the Huckleberry Market, although it was a crazy busy place in this place today, but we closed at 3 p.m. as well. It was crazy in here today. It was nuts. And of course, Wednesday is a good day because the library is in on Wednesdays, which is a special thing. So we had so many people in the center today, but tomorrow we could have 3 people all day, that kind of thing. So Huckleberry Market is probably one of the best things, although you drive by there and sometimes you only see one car in the parking lot too. So like Melissa says, it's our downtime right now.
Yeah.
Well, and I remember Candace suggested that we could do a bottle drive at the last meeting too, and that could supplement the other efforts.
And then another thing too, like I'm wondering, like if you're thinking about going in front of Huckleberry, like are you wanting to stand in front of Huckleberry asking for donations, or could he be there like selling Ukrainian sausage or something like that, like I don't know, like pierogies or something, like some kind of lunch, like I don't know, we probably can get it for a cheaper amount and then sell it for more, like a hot dog sale in front of Overweighty, right? Like that could be something cool and more geared towards Ukraine, right? And then just really like blast that all over social media, and then we could easily just volunteer for that and put that in pretty easy, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I remember that.
The idea, Candace. Yeah, could you imagine getting a little one of those little hot dog trays with, and call it your pierogi pokes, and I would love that. I would go up there, and because I'm a really crappy Ukrainian wife, I've never made homemade pierogies for my husband, but I'm a little Dutch girl, but they tried to teach me in the family. No, I still haven't made them. I buy them, but that would be really neat to get your little pierogi poked and you're to donate.
Sounds better than a hot dog, right?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Candace.
And
like
that's this is Jeff. Yes, so that's also worked on a couple different levels. Just a thing. Pierogies are vareniki in Ukrainian, so just the same basic thing, but the term. But that's actually been raising awareness about Ukraine through food and culture. I would assume you probably even have a few folks who are Ukrainian in their in their origins who may want to participate. There's certain other things. There's a thing, and I'll send you a link. There's a thing called the Babus's Cookbook too, which has been very, what they did is they took a number of authentic Ukrainian recipes and then kind of made them very easy to make in any kitchen. And they put them together in a small cookbook, and proceeds from that. So there's ways to kind of advertise other things that other people are doing that may be of interest to people, particularly around cooking or food or cultural awareness or whatever. And I can help organize some of those materials or recipes. My wife makes what's called a honey cake. It's very easy to make. I mean, it takes some time, but it's very, very simple cake. And my daughter has been selling them all over the place. They're very, very popular. They're pretty easy to put together, something like that. So I can help facilitate any of that kind of information if you don't have direct access to people there who who are Ukrainian. So yeah, that's a great idea, by the way.
Okay. I'm thinking too, isn't Carrie Ukrainian? Carrie, who used to be a member of our club? She's always posting things that she cooks on Facebook. And I thought she was making pierogies or some Ukrainian dishes.
I think Dana, Tom Farm, she's Ukrainian. Didn't know. Yeah, maybe in her maiden, like, cause she's O'Donnell now. Yeah, O'Donnell. Yeah. Like me, I'm a Dutch girl. I just married the Wilczynski. That's a great idea. I like that idea.
If I might inject one other thing too, it's ultimately the aim of Yednyanya is about peace and the building of civil society, and that's who you're fundraising for.
Right.
So relatively, while you're doing it, it would make sense to also or kind of at least raise awareness socially about the Peace Project, the Peace Pole, the Peace Garden, what Rotary is doing in terms of its overarching support of peace initiatives, education, because it all really it ties together. So that might be a good segue also to kind of, I hate to use the word advertise, but to at least raise the awareness about the garden and what you're doing over the course of the next few months. And like you said, tie it back into smaller fundraising campaigns, because that need is still going to be there, long after even the war's over. So it's a way to kind of serve both things and raise awareness about Rotary in your community too, which is always a good thing. I'm a big fan of that. So
Yeah, Jeff, at one time we had talked about, if you're able to put together just a few sentences that I can use in a press release to the Grand Forks Gazette about your work in Ukraine. And I see where we could tie all of this together with, publicity about what Rotary has done in Ukraine, what you have personally done in Ukraine, your background, your work in there before the war. That would make a great public interest story, and it would raise awareness about Rotary's peace efforts, our fundraising drive, because what I'm hoping is that these events raise awareness, but the real money is to be made with people that just want to make outright donations. And, we still have to do the other stuff, but, that could be small change compared to people writing checks for $500.
right. Plus, if you're looking to get the community interested in donating additional poles for the pole garden, the reality is by kind of entertaining that it's another community awareness raising event and another commitment to the larger global community like peace. And so that may also be something that's you kind of just like Doreen just said, tying it all together. And then if you're approaching local businesses in Christina Lake or even in the outlying area, they see that maybe donating a pole also is another way to commit to their standing in the community and facilitate Rotary's work abroad, right, and at home. So yeah, I agree. I think that you can kind of marry all those things together. and be effective and make people understand that that's something good to feel about, or something good that benefits not only their local community, but also the global community. And I'd be willing, whatever I can do to facilitate that. Tomorrow is my meeting with Yadnanya in the morning, and they've been putting together, Christmas is kind of coming to an end, and people are back as much as they can be with the power outages still in Kyiv, but they're coming back to the table with some outreach materials, and those are the things that we can shore up. And if there's anything that I can do, if you want to give me a little guidance about what I needed to produce, I'll have that back to you as quickly as you need it. So.
Okay. Yeah. I probably have a lot of the information. I just don't have time to compile it right now. Yeah, and the specifics. I mean, I know your story in the general sense of your work in Ukraine with the Peace Corps, and but I would leave up to you how much you want to mention about your family, or other things like that. But I think it's not going to. They don't usually, well, unless they choose to interview you, that could be. And really, that's the purpose of a press release, is not to write the whole story, but to give them enough information that it generates interest in their writing a story. And then they would interview you, and it could be a feature story. It would be a strong human interest story that's very timely.
Yeah,
and being like you asked as well.
Yeah, the other thing too is I have a lot to say about Christina Lake, which is, in comparison to some other Rotary clubs, like in the Netherlands, involvement has been amazing and forthcoming. And I think that the community not only needs to hear the story of maybe what's happening in Ukraine from a personal perspective, but how Rotary is actually assisting the larger global community through small efforts, through smaller fundraising efforts, through commitment, donations, through raising awareness, through whatever that happens to be. I love any opportunity, and that goes to anybody on the call and anybody that if there's anything that I can do. And I know a ton of people in Rotary now too. So if there's an interest in connecting to global Rotary and having speakers, or having people do interviews or whatever, I know tons of people who would love to step up in that capacity. So
I'm wondering, is there like the organization that we're planning on donating to, or the organization that we're getting at, is there like a short video or something that they have? Like YouTube has quick videos to like really catch it, but catch you quick within like a couple minutes, so that'll get them,
Well, they don't and that's actually part of the project management piece that I'm doing with them as kind of in an advisory capacity. They kind of function on 3 different levels, and I don't want to take our valuable time, but I'd love to talk about it later. But yes, that's kind of where we're moving. They also have some really cool, they just sent me a link to a really cool interactive map where they're showing what's currently open, like what grants they're working on. You can just click on any little spot on the map, and it'll show you like what that particular NGO is doing, which is absolutely fascinating. So you can kind of, these people are working on providing shelter. These people are working on community development around kids and youth sports, blah, 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 blah. So it's there. We should have all that coming together within the next few weeks, and being able to make that available, not only to our club, but also to any other folks who want to donate, any other organizations.
I think that's, helpful for people to hear what's going on. In fact, my mother just attended a Rotary meeting in Green Valley, Arizona, where she lives, last night. And one of the Rotary Club members there has been spending time in Ukraine. And so he was back, and he filled an auditorium with people, so several hundred people last night. And they were raising money for Shelter Box. And my mom said people were, writing $100, $500 checks, etc. And I think the thing that helped was that they had a thing that said, okay, if you donate, $50, that can help with, buying 4 blankets or whatever. $100 can help buy X. And I think that probably was a very effective fundraiser for them. So, that could be something where we get together with, Rotary and Grand Forks and, maybe have, a speaker or speakers, maybe at our community hall. We'd have to advertise it pretty well to get a good turnout like that.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are all.
Yeah. And however like I said, I'll avail myself to, we have Rotary is a huge network of people. And I know people, the president of Lviv International is now back in the United States. Guys who have been doing all kinds of transport. I mean, fascinating stories, really well connected. They understand, how Rotary's finances and any donation legitimately ends up doing the work. I was on the phone, a couple guys I'm working with are providing ambulances to just get people from the front line for triage, prosthesis, senior centers. I mean, you name it, the work that's going on is just phenomenal. And I think it commands there. It's not just about what's in the paper and people knowing Ukraine. It's also a human interest story. There are people who are in Rotary and outside or very closely related to it, actually in country, and that's been the source of a lot of questions for me directly. What's it like being there, like literally on the ground, and how do you do what you're doing when what's going on is going on? So yeah, anything you want to facilitate, anything that you think would be helpful, just tell me and I'll make it happen. I'm a go-getter.
Where are you right now, Jeff?
Right now I'm closer to you. I'm in Spokane, Washington. I just saw my 2 new grandbabies yesterday, and then I'm with my 2 older grandbabies today, and we're spending a couple days. It's the first time Mila, my Ukrainian spouse, is in the States and joined me for a short period of time while we're working out some immigration and travel issues and family issues, and then we're returning to Ukraine on the 23rd. So just 2 weeks roughly. So yeah, it's bittersweet, but but life is happening and people are doing, remarkable things. My best friend in Ukraine, they just had a new baby and he's having surgery done. He has a issue with his leg. They're going back and forth to Lviv while bombs are flying and the power's going off to get these surgeons who are showing up from out of country to perform some surgery on his foot and his leg. And I mean, it's heart-wrenching and both heroic at the same time.
Is it the father or the baby that's having the surgery?
Father, Mykola's son, Mykola Manzuk, his son needs surgery. Yeah, was born with
so the baby needs surgery.
Baby needs surgery. Yeah.
Okay.
And there have been a whole host of plastic surgeons and I mean, all kinds of folks like flying in and out of Ukraine to perform, and they literally have been doing military services. Another surgeon that I spoke with, they back-to-back 137 surgeries, and they just performed them nonstop. Like they just went for like 4 days nonstop. They would take enough breaks so that they weren't operating people while sleep deprived, but that was it. They would go in 4-hour shifts, and they had a whole team of plastic surgeons there for some of the military and some of the kids who have been disfigured. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't want to take the conversation because there's some stuff to decide, but whatever I can do to avail and help Rotary, because I'm committed to both. I want to help folks in Ukraine, but Rotary has just been such an instrumental organization in what's going on globally and what's going on in Ukraine that I just can't help but want to make sure that what happens in Christina Lake is just as significant.
Well, what I would like to do, Jeff, we have a very small window to do this in because you're leaving for Ukraine and I have every weekend, I have to be in different cities like Seattle to train Rotary leaders and everything. So what I would like to do, because this ties into Rotary just announced its theme for the next Rotary year. And what's interesting also is that the CEO and General Secretary of Rotary is Ukrainian.
Huh.
And the theme for this year is create hope in the world. And the emphasis is also on mental health. One of our speakers yesterday mentioned the work Rotary is doing to fund psychiatric services for the children in Ukraine because of the trauma they've experienced. And also, I talked to one of the trustees for the Rotary Foundation, and they indicated that they have to vote on it, but in all likelihood, they'll fundraise to fund more grants. So we have another chance to get our grant.
Great.
That we didn't get. For everybody that doesn't know, Rotary funded, and our district can only do this one time. So Jeff and I were the influence in getting the Rotary Club to apply for that grant of $25,000. And Jeff and his team, in Dubno, the Rotary Club of Dubno, handled it so well that the report was approved right away, and we were in line, not our club, but the district. Again, team, completed the grant application. It was approved by our district. The only reason we didn't get it is they ran out of money, but the trustees are going to fund more grants. It's not official, but the person I talked to indicated that she thought it would happen. And so that's another thing, we can probably get another $25,000 grant if everything goes as planned. So I'm optimistic that will happen. So what my thought is, if you can get, just tell your story in some bullet points for me. I'll commit to doing the press release before I have to be back in Seattle 2 weekends from now. So I have 1 weekend at home to get this done, and then I've got to be in Seattle. So I'll get it done in this window, and the timing is perfect because it ties into the Rotary theme, and I think we can get Grand Forks. Mark Kostash is going to be the president-elect. He'll be one of the people I'm training in February in Seattle. So I think that we can get Grand Forks to join in with us. His background is Doctors Without Borders. So.
Oh, right. Great. No, so I'll have it for you to buy tomorrow.
Okay. And I'll be home Friday night. I'll work on it Friday night, Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'll work on it right after my meeting with Nyanya. And just as an aside for those people on the phone call, and again, just to tie it, so the rest of the money went to the ex-president of Lviv Rotary International, and his team co-sponsored a bunch of those district grants, and the remaining funds that was left that we didn't get actually got distributed to them. I spoke with him a couple of days ago, and part of that money actually ended up in Dubno because of our work with Christina Lake. They allotted a portion of that money to help dairy farmers who don't have any power, and the cows are, some of it's for heating and for humans, and the other one is to continue the production of milk, which is very important to the economy and to the health of the citizens there. So that money did end up in it, and a lot of it also went to helping warming shelters and some other things. So
that would be good information to share. And I did share the post from the Rotary Club of Dubno about I think, who posted that about the cows, the dairy farms?
It was Alexander, Sasha. And so Yulia, Sasha, and Mikola are the three. He's not the president. He's secretary. I don't know exactly what position Alexander holds.
But it came from the Rotary Club of Dubno, right?
Dubno, yeah.
Yeah, I did post that on my Facebook page. I could probably convert it so it would be appropriate to post on maybe the Rotary Club's page. So
yeah. So, but I didn't want to detract. I think that the peace poll idea is just such a fundamental thing. And I think when you have something that's concrete, it inspires people, even if it's something that seemingly, it doesn't have to be monumental. It just has to be something where people can come and they can kind of pay reverence, right? That's the thing that's important, is that we have something tangible that is a commitment by one group of people that another group of people can connect with. And I think that one of the best ways you can honor the commitment that the club is making to Ukraine is also to honor and figure out a way to kind of collaborate so that that becomes a reality in the community. And if it inspires other people to donate other poles and it becomes a garden that's part of a community support project, then that's just even better. I mean, that just is furthering the cause of Rotary and also community development. And it literally supports the entire premise of what Yednanya is trying to do in Ukraine, right? Is build community relationships between nonprofits and between organizations so that people can benefit. So it's a great thing. It's great.
And for the benefit of people that weren't on any of our earlier conversations about Yednanya, it's sort of like the United Way of Ukraine is how I see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're a funding funnel through USAID and through the European Union, and they're very particular about, and they're supporting children trauma counseling, and they're supporting civic awareness, and they're supporting everything that you would want to do that the government and the military can't do, frankly. I mean, that's why these nonprofits exist. And they're just I can't tell you how committed these people are. It just makes me scratch my head. I don't know that half of them sleep. McCullough, I don't know that McCullough sleeps. I sometimes think he's a vampire. So I love him to death, but 3 o'clock in the morning in Ukraine, McCullough, go to sleep. Okay, I get it, but you need to sleep. So.
Okay. Well, we're near the end of our meeting. What other questions or comments or thoughts does everybody have on moving forward on any of these initiatives? Where do you want to take it from here? I guess everybody, I think Donna, you've already shared what you will do, and thank you for that.
I have a question for Donna. What are they putting in the parking lot in the middle section? What's happening there?
Well, we recognize that it looks terrible out there in the summertime. And there's some standpipes that are underneath and some as-built that I want to protect because vehicles are more and more encroaching onto that middle area there. And so that we're going to xeriscape that with, rockery and that kind of stuff. So I got a $10,000 grant. And what I do at my office here is I kind of incubate and get money for projects. And then I find groups that are willing to execute the plan kind of thing. So I've partnered with our Christina Lake Stewardship Society, and they are going to be the ones doing the, basically the work out there, and we'll get, I think they've already got some of the landscape stuff donated, and then basically I have the $10,000 that I got for this grant over to them. But the idea is to xeriscape out there to make it look a little bit more nicer, a little bit nicer here. And
I always thought it was just, it looks like it's a parking spot, right? There's always vehicles on it. That's what I would have thought it was.
And on this end of the building at the front part, there's actually 2 standpipes that come up. And every spring I go out there after the snow and everything has been whatever, and I dig them out because they're and there's a whole piping system under there that's not attached to anything. But I thought, well, I gotta clean these out, right? I'm married to a plumber, so maybe that's part of it.
That's your yearly job.
Protection that I need vehicles, because vehicles pulling out when they pull out to the front of into the front of the welcome center, they back up as well. And sometimes they, people back up really far and they're driving over these standpipes that they shouldn't be driving over because they, they're out there. And as it erodes, because nothing's been done out there, these standpipes, I literally go and find them every spring and dig around them, make sure they're okay and all this, right? So we're going to protect them by, there's going to be a little bit of fencing done at this end. That's kind of going to tie into all this. And the idea is this rockery and I think xeriscape as opposed to whatever you said, because I just call it xeriscaping because I was there and my garage application days xeriscape, and then zero and there exchange, interpretive signage, on the ground. This is whatever this is, and this is the reason this looks like that, and basically to barrier you know, make it more like there's actually a barrier there for people not to get to parking spot.
Yeah, right? But there is a picnic table or two there, isn't there? Right now? Is there?
No, not on the front, like if you come in the welcome center,
Yeah.
straight at the driveway, and then the driveway splits around like this, and there's a middle medium or whatever you want to call it. So the area that you're talking about is in the far corner where those picnic tables are. So people can drive in, and they do. I had to erect no camping overnight signs, but if people were actually in the know, it's Crown land owned by everybody in the province. And they probably could pitch tent out there, but now I put signage out there too, because it's a fire issue and hazard issue in that in the summertime too, right? But that middle area looks terrible, and we've got the signage out there too, which you know, and somebody was telling me there was a sign out there from 2019. I was like, that's a lot time I've gone out there, but you know, it's just one of those things that just doesn't get maintained because it looks like a parking spot. With a parking
Well,
area.
There's a kind of a kiosk with some historical information on it there. And I started reading it one day. I don't know how long it's been there, but I'm thinking the wording on that needs to be looked at. And I don't know if that could be part of that project you're doing. And I know we're really off topic here, but the grammar on that is horrendous.
Really? And now I'm talking about the medium, because this thing that's happening at the top of the parking lot. There's a kiosk at the top of the parking lot as well that used to be really maintained by stewardship too. And it's got all the stewardship signage in there and stuff. And you know, and that's that might be something being taken over for some kind of focal project for us, but yeah, yet to be seen, because there's that part of the parking lot too that's got that gorgeous kiosk, and nobody goes to it, nobody sits at it, nobody maintains it, you know, kind of thing. And different staff is in its stewardship now because they used to maintain it and they just don't anymore. So all stuff that I, you know, was on my list of things to do and never get to them kind of thing, but you know.
Yeah, but I guess it kind of goes to show that with what we are planning for the peace pole in the garden, that we should make sure it's low maintenance. That
Absolutely.
whatever we do doesn't require, you know, work party every spring to plant or whatever. Unless we want to do that.
I think your point's well made, Melissa. To move forward, if all of you could maybe in a group email or something, share with me like what dates and activities you would like to plan, how you want to do the peace poll, and we can bring that budget to Susie and see how much we can afford to. I assume the club would buy one peace poll and other people would buy other polls. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, when we had talked about this previously, we were talking about, well, what languages, because, you know, the polls got 4 sides. You could put, you know, 4, or if it's a tall poll, you could do 8 languages. But then there were some people thinking that, you know, if you include some languages and not other languages, then some party, you know, some group of people will be offended that, you know, their preferred language wasn't included and that kind of thing. So my suggestion was to Donna, if somebody complains that their language isn't included, then say, great, that's a great suggestion. Would you like to donate a poll with your language on it?
Yeah.
And that's one way to get around that.
Okay, so
And that was the other comment that came back to me too, is, you know, our history is the Russian Duke Wars. And of course, with this stuff going on, and we're, not promoting is not the right word, not promoting Ukraine, you know what I mean? And are those people gonna feel slighted? And I thought, well, we can't please everybody. And did everybody see Tomoka's idea there? That's another good idea, fundraiser idea, about how about selling sunflower seeds? Like, I think that would go over really well here in Christina Lake.
whose idea was that?
Tomoka on the meeting chat there.
Oh, I just now saw that. Tomoka, that's a wonderful idea.
Great idea.
Thank you for suggesting that. Yes. Now, Sean, are you selling any sunflower seeds as part of the Christina Lake Elementary School thing?
Yes, there are sunflower seeds in that,
And I'm wondering if we can, well, those proceeds go to the schools. I don't know how that would work unless we bought them from them and then we resell them. I don't know. That might be, maybe we should just buy our own sunflower seeds. I don't know. I'm making it too complicated. But I like that idea. So I'll definitely make time for my contribution, whatever else you need me to do. I love all the ideas everybody came up with, and I'm so grateful. So I guess we just have to put the plan in action now. Before we adjourn, and we should adjourn because we're already 11 minutes over, do we need a small committee to take action on this, or should we try to do it as a club? Byron, I know you joined the call. Do you have any thoughts? You're muted, Byron. I don't know if you're able to hear me or if you're talking.
He's traveler somewhere. Policy, he's away somewhere right now, maybe not. He's here, it's traveling.
I'm sorry, Chrissy, I didn't make out what you said.
He's on a road trip somewhere, so maybe he's in the back of the van.
The sound quality's bad. I couldn't make out what you were saying.
He's traveling right now, so maybe he's logged in, but hasn't quite caught that.
Oh,
hopefully
okay. All right. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting unless you have anything else you want to share. But if we can come up with some more specific plans on what we're gonna do and when, I mean, we have some great general ideas here. So that we can put it in motion, just let me know and I'll do my part.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening. Thank you all for your time and ideas.
Figured out.
nice.
Good all, guys.
Good to hear from you.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jack.
Bye.
Do побачення. До побачення.
Oh, there's Byron. Hi, Byron.
Hello.
Oh, no,
Where-
now you're
Am I
on.
off? Am I off mute now?
Yeah,
Well,
you missed the meeting.
You missed the meeting.
Oh
where
no, I was listening, just driving the I-5 in the passenger
okay.
seat. So.
Cool.
All right. Well, what are your thoughts after hearing everything?
I think some great ideas there. Unfortunately, I don't want to start suggesting too much because I'm not going to be back around till March to be able to help with anything.
Right, I understand. But you always have great ideas, so feel free to share.
All right.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna sign off then. Thanks for joining us, Candace. Thanks and I didn't mean to put any pressure on you.
That's okay. I should have
I
filled it
didn't
out by now.
know if sometimes those computer things don't work the way you hope they will. So
Right.
that's what. Okay.
I'll send you an email if it doesn't work, but I'll go do it
Okay.
right now. Okay.
No worries. Okay. Thanks.
Bye guys. Have a good night. Drive safe,
All right.
Byron.
Bye-bye.
Bye.